Hello, this is a short video for performers and facilitators. I want to start with a provocation. This is a quote from the contortionist and comedian and dear friend of mine, Matt Bowden, aka Matt Valentine, a very fine, world-class level street performer, who once said to me, "It's the job of the performer to be the most charismatic person on stage. The most charismatic person in the room, the most charismatic person on the street." How the fuck can we, as space holders, facilitators, performers, gobshites, be expected to be the most charismatic person in the space when we're having to deal with all of that stuff that comes along with being seen, and the nerves and everything else, and having to remember what the fuck we're doing? I want to challenge that very understandable reaction and that assumption. In my experience, having tried and failed and often succeeded over the last however many years of being a performer and also an educator, really, by the time people have arrived to the gig and are sat down to watch you, or by the time they've arrived to your Zoom meeting or your workshop or whatever it is that you're doing, you've kind of already won. Why is this? This is because you are performatively, you've stepped into the role of a leadership role, the role of facilitator. People have surrendered their critical faculties to a certain degree. It's actually much easier to be the most charismatic person in the room because everybody wants you to do that and is giving permission to you to step into your power by virtue of the fact that they are granting you with their attention. They are empowering you with their presence. And that's kind of quite nice if you're at a gig or at a workshop. You don't have to go through the rather awkward transactions of having to negotiate social intercourse. You can sit back and you can be led, right? So the question is really, how can we be the most charismatic person in the room, and more, how can we be in a position to do the job that everybody is willing us to do, right? Nobody wants to see us drown. People ultimately they don't want the awkwardness of you to have a bad gig. So everybody is willing this to go right? If they're there, if they're quiet, if they've showed up, then they're on board. They're on your side. That's the first thing to remember before you've even opened your mouth, right? To hold space or to give a workshop or to do a gig or whatever it is that you're doing. Of course, in order to get ourselves to that place, we do need to systematically prepare ourselves, and that's why we have warm-up techniques, meditation, visualization exercises. I do address this in another video, and I'm going to link to that video in the notes below this, in case anybody wants to see it. And really, I think doing breathwork and warm-up techniques and visualizations is kind of necessary for this type of work, because being a performer, being a space holder, being a facilitator, being a teacher is a spiritual exercise, because it's about shadow work. It's about dealing with all of your insecurities and taking that and going out and giving people gifts in a way that's making yourself very vulnerable, and that's intensely spiritual. And an intensely naked experience. So we need to exercise self-care, and in that video I talk a little bit about that. If anybody's interested in these subjects, by the way, and this is a shameless plug, this is my book. It's called Stage Invasion. It's about performance, and it's a reflection on a life teaching and performing. So if you do language and if you're interested in performance, I guarantee that you'll find something to love in that book. So thanks for listening. I hope this was of interest. If this brings anything up, or if you have any questions or comments, just post them below.